and Ratnam sir will join later.
Okay. Stop sharing.
Just 1 second. Yeah. Start.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of SIRE, I, Arindam Ray, the Program Director of SIRE, welcome all of you to the 2 days International Virtual Conference on Paradigm Shifting Education and Entrepreneurship. In the context of Atmanirbhar Bharat, organized by South Asian Institute for Advanced Research and Development. Modern day challenges to the entrepreneur and the paradigm shift in education are essentially changing also the curriculum of entrepreneurship education. Nowadays, it has a much wider significance as it includes not only acquiring theoretical knowledge and opportunity should be given to young people for developing new skills, competences. In reference to the context, a 2 day international virtual conference is organized. Now, I would request our pioneer, Mr. Bishwajit Rai Chaudhuri, to say some words.
Thank you, Arindam. On behalf of SIRE, I would like to congratulate and thanks to all of you for joining with us in this 2 days international webinar on the paradigm shift in education and research in the context of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So before going to just brief, I would like to say something about our institution, South Asian Institute for Advanced Research and Development, which we have developed or formed. And it is certified under the Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprise, as well as right now we got the affiliation for our courses from Vidyasagar University. And with this, from the very beginning, what we have seen that right now in the coming days, the education, the paradigm of education has become changed in a changing mode. So in that case, most of the cases we have to focus on the skill development, entrepreneurship development related issues, because after this corona situation, these points has become more important for us, that how our students can be skilled as well as they can be knowledgeable, because there are lots of academic institutions in India, and mostly we got the knowledge, our students got the knowledge from there, but actually industry needs their skill. So right now I know that there are different institutions have already taken this kind of initiatives for the development of the skill of the students as well as for their entrepreneurship enthusiasm. And with that, the SIRE has started their journey, and within the 1.7 years, 1.7 year, uh, we have already reached an international platform. Different international bodies has joined with us. Different universities have signed MOU with us. Even they are also working not only from West Bengal but also outside India and international platforms. Different international bodies they have joined. Even on behalf of SIAD, we have taken lots of initiatives for the development of the knowledge as well as the skill of the students. We have started several skill-based courses in collaboration with the different government organizations, industry houses, and also in the international bodies are required. They want our consultancy regarding these academic aspects, how we can collaborate and how we can work together for the future and the skill development of the student. So in that respect, one of our associate, Dr. Chris, is there from Australia. He is a CEO of a GAC company, GOC, so Global Opportunities Commercialization Institution. And they also associated with us, like that different government organizations is also associated with us. So we are mostly focusing on how students can become skilled. And I am very proudly, I can say that yesterday I got a news that we have conducted a skill-based course, GIS remote sensing course, 6 months course, certificate course, in collaboration with a government organization, that is the National Atlas and Thematic Mapping Organization. It's a part of DST, Government of India. And there are 25 students we have started and in the last year. And within them, 6 students have got the jobs in different industry houses. So this is really a proud moment for us also. And also our executives and they also associated in the different academic activities. And right now we are also, yesterday we published our advertisement for the different skill-based courses. So with this, what I think, and except that we are continuously after we have formed our institution, we are continuously developing several programs. We are continuously conducting several programs in our national, international levels. We are connecting with the people with the different countries, and they also share their views, and they also associate with us through these different academic modes. So today the program, which is the focal theme, we have kept in the name the paradigm shift in education. Really, it's a time for paradigm shift in education research. We have to think, the education academic institutions have to think differently, how the changes has gone, and how through this we have to catch the changes, and also for the we can take these initiatives we can for the betterment of our students. And also right now our country need more and more entrepreneurs to support the economic backbone, because after corona we know that lots of damages are happening in the country. So not only we have several academic sectors, several job profiles will gone out, and there are several new job profiles we have to find out. So this is the motto. And today, through these 2 days international webinar, which I think that there through them several discussions by some eminent personalities, definitely we will gain some knowledge about, and they will give some highlight. They will definitely focus on some highlights on the different issues, how we should develop, our students can be developed, because the participants have developed in several all over the India and international platforms also. And for that, on behalf of this platform, I heartily thanks to Swami Atma Priyananda Sir Ji for joining with us. Heartily thanks to Dr. Chris for joining with us. Dr. Professor Amar Garg Sir is the Vice Chancellor of Soviet University, Meerut. Also, Professor Muhammad Ali University Vice Chancellor, and Professor Ratnam Kumar Ratnam, MHRD ICPR Direct Member Secretary. Unfortunately, he is busy for another ministerial program, so he will join after that, definitely, we hope. So with this, once again, I would like to give thanks to all the participants who have joined here, and also our colleagues. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Roy Chaudhary. Today, we are going to inaugurate a book. Our executive officer, Mr. Arnab Chatterjee, edited this book named The Mayor of Castor Beach. So we would request Mr. Arnab Chatterjee to say few words regarding his editorial work. Mr. Arnab Chatterjee, over to you. Mr. Arnab Chatterjee.
Please unmute yourself. Yes.
Sir, may I audible?
Yes, yes.
Professor, actually, the purpose of this book is to introduce the reader to the critical description of Thomas Harris, the Mayor of Castor Beach. Starting from the artist's own description of the Mayor of Castor Beach, the story of a man of a character, and I have also tried to record the immediate momentum of this powerful novel. On the other hand, this book has linked the philosophical side of the Thomas Hardy, how far it could be seen for the context of the 19th century agonistic and pessimistic thought, which led us to the consideration of the tragedy of Thomas Hardy. On the other hand, I have shown the depiction of the rural England on the age of the social revolution during that time through this book.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Arindam.
Mr.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chatterjee. Now,
Thank you.
I would invite Professor Amar Garg to chair the session. Presently, he is acting as a Vice Chancellor of Shobit Institute of Engineering and Technology, Meerut. He was former professor and founder head of Microbiology Department, CCS University, Meerut, and he was also former Provisee of Jaipur National University. He was recipient of Young Scientist Gold Medal Award, Global Outreach Education Award, Meerut Ratnan Award, to name a few. So we are truly privileged to have him with us. So, Professor Garg, over to you to chair this wonderful session.
Thank you, Dr. Arindam Chatterjee, Arindam Ray, and Raj Chaudhary, Swami Atmanand, Atma Priyanandji, Dr. Krish, Muhammad Ali, and several other distinguished participants, delegates, and speakers. It is my pleasure and privilege to chair this most cherished session if you connect with this national education policy. The organizers have rightly selected the topic at the very appropriate and right time. It is the high time when we are required to discuss this type of the topics, that is the entrepreneurship. The vision and dream of our Honorable Prime Minister that we should be the service giver, not the service beggar. We should be the entrepreneur. We should develop the industries. And Swami Atma Priyanandji here, and it is a pleasure and honor for me to chair this session where such a great personality will be delivering his lecture. And if you go through this national policy, you will find that it is based on the student centric, teacher centric, industry centric, Bharat centric, and the ancient treasure of knowledge, which at in the ancient time, if you see, then India was contributing 30% to the total global economy. And at present, we are contributing only 3%. What has gone wrong? Why it has gone wrong? Even if you see now, before independence and after independence for about 50 years, or that is before 1970, I will talk, you will find that the farmers were satisfied. India was known to be as a agricultural dominant country, but unfortunately, now we are known as a political dominant country, which is a very sad affair. And we have to convert this system to the entrepreneurship development country so that we can give a vision to the world, and entire world is looking towards India. We are having a demographic dividend. We are having the highest youth in the country. We are having the top brain in the country. But then why and where we are lagging? We are lagging because we are not focusing on entrepreneurship. We are not focusing on high quality of education. And this national education policy, it has addressed these questions, that this is based on the high quality of education and 100% literacy. The only two biggest challenge what I am visualizing. The first biggest challenge is that how the government will arrange 6% GDP fund for the promotion of education. And the second biggest challenge what I am visualizing, we had conducted a webinar where 30 vice chancellors from different universities has collected on our platform, and we had discussed it at length, And we found that the biggest challenge is the development of the infrastructure. Development of the skill-oriented infrastructure. Development of the desired skill-oriented infrastructure. And the second challenge will be the training of the trainers, educators. The government is having the vision that they will implement it in 2022, but it is the responsibility of the vice chancellors, educationists, and the administrators to start implementing from today. We have to revise our syllabi, we have to revise our curricula, we have to develop the strategy for training of the teachers, and we have to inculcate the habit of skill training in the students. We have to tie up with the industries, local industries, so that we should be able to provide the enough job. And the most important and the most cherished view and vision of this education policy is the multiple entry and multiple exit. This particular opportunity we should catch, and we should use it for the entrepreneurship development. I wish a very good success, and I congratulate the organizers for selecting the nice topic and the eminent top personalities of the world to discuss upon this topic, which is relevant for India, which is relevant for Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we should see and we should visualize that we should be able to again contribute 30% to the global economy. That should be the vision, and that is the vision. And I'm very sorry to say that China became independent after 2 years in 1949. We became independent in 1947. And you see after 1970, how fast China has developed. That is just based on the skill development, on such type of the entrepreneurs. And these industries should be as per the demand of the time. I was happy to note during this COVID-19 that some of the industries, they came up very fast as a startup for the formation of the PPE kits, for the preparation of the mask, for the preparation of the sanitizers, and we exported to the world also and were able to contribute to the good amount of the GDP. But now the demand has gone down, and the industry is saying that now we are losing. No, you are not losing. Now you change. You change as per the demand. Now the industry will have to think, entrepreneurs will have to think that they have to produce the product which is in demand in the market. And the product which is not in the demand of the market, you have to get rid of it. So with this remark, I invite the eminent top personalities to discuss this topic, and it is my pleasure and honor to chair such a session where Swami Atmapriyanand, the top eminent speaker and a treasure of knowledge of the ancient India, is present here. Welcome, sir. Welcome. And thank you to the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
So shall I begin?
Yes, sir.
So I begin with the chanting of a mantra which occurs in the Kathopanishad. These are called Shanti mantras, peace chants in English. And they prefix and suffix any Upanishad, which is the last part of the Vedas called Vedanta. These are universal mantras invoking peace. And this particular mantra is well known as one which begins any knowledge exercise, as we are doing now. The teacher and the taught, the Acharya and the Sishya, sit together one-on-one and invoke the blessings and the grace of the Supreme Being so that their knowledge can become effective, illuminative, and their mutual sharing of knowledge may be elevating and harmonious. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. May the Supreme Being protect us both, the teacher and the disciple, by revealing to us the true nature of knowledge. May the Supreme Being protect us both, the teacher and the disciple, by revealing to us the application of that knowledge. May we both, the teacher and the disciple, strive together for the acquisition of knowledge. May the knowledge and wisdom that we acquire be effective and illuminative. May there be no disharmony or dissension between us. Om, peace, peace, peace. Om, that existence. So paradigm shift has been talked about since the beginning of humanity. Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan humorously said once, we always say we are in times of transition. He said, this was first said by Adam in the Garden of Eden. He told Eve, Eve, we are in moments of transition, paradigm shift. This is a buzzword in industry, and any catchy word which attracts the attention of people is good enough to make people talk about it. Nothing has shifted so far, except that man's attention has come to be focused more and more on how to maximize happiness for a maximum number of people by an effort which is harmonious and collective and self-sacrificing. I will emphasize this aspect rather than developing skills, developing industries, developing infrastructure. All that will happen provided man can rebuild himself or herself. What is the greatest tragedy of human life? That human beings have become intolerant, they become corrupt, they become intensely selfish, and they are destroying and exploiting nature for their own so-called benefit. Nature will come back and take nemesis. In Greek mythology, there's the concept of nemesis of nature. Prakritika pratishodh. If you pry into nature and exploit nature for your own greed, nature will come back and give you tight slaps on the cheeks, as the coronavirus is doing now. And man has to awaken to a higher consciousness by which he will sacrifice. The virus says, I also have a right to live. You are exploiting me, you are destroying nature, you are mining your mountains and you are cutting down trees. So I'll come back and teach you a lesson. And this little virus, which can't be seen, even under a microscope, and which is dead in itself, but suddenly becomes alive when it comes to contact with somebody else, a living organism, is shaking the entire world. All the pride of man, the biologists and the immunologists and the virologists, and the Nobel laureates and the biologists, and the top people in biological sciences are now shivering with fear without knowing how to tackle this little fellow. People are running around. People are saying, wait for some time. We will find out something very terrible. In the meantime, Corona says, come on, take this. What is your answer? We don't have an answer. Shakespeare said long ago, the immortal poetry of Shakespeare, measure for measure. I quote a small passage from there. Man, proud man, dressed in a little brief authority, most ignorant of what he is most sure of, his glassy essence, like an angry ape, makes such fantastic gestures in the high heaven that makes the angels weep. We are most ignorant of what we think we are most sure of. The whole thing is changing suddenly. Suddenly we realize we can't meet people, we can't greet people, we can't shake hands with people, we can't hug people, we can't contact people. And we have to see everybody online as we are doing now. The little virus has taught us that if you don't behave, I know how to make you behave. What is the secret? The secret, as Swami Vivekananda said, self-sacrifice. Don't accumulate for your own greed, give away, share, love, care. Swami Vivekananda said beautifully, man wants to hold with clenched fists, mine, me, my possession, my wealth, my bank balance, my credit card. Nature puts her throat upon his, hands upon his throat and make the fist open. So give gladly, give willingly. What is the secret of entrepreneurship? The whole secret is how you behave in such a way you can give the group together. Management science has grown over the decades to one of the most important sciences. Management science is about knowing a little of everything and not knowing deeply about anything. But the management people are on the top because they have certain skills by which they can bring people together to work as a team. Man should now realize that nobody is an island. Nobody can work in isolation. And there are two important fundamental principles which are at once philosophical, spiritual, and scientific. What are the two principles? One is the principle of interconnectivity, which leads to interdependency. These are not only philosophical and spiritual, they are scientific. Any student of science will tell you that the whole of science is based upon this principle. Albert Einstein, who discovered the theories of relativity, the special theory in 1905, followed by the general theory in 1915, derived the inspiration for his general theory of relativity, which is the theory of gravitation, from a principle called the Mach's principle. Mach was a German philosopher who said that we are all interconnected in such a way that any little movement of anybody will immediately disturb or shake everybody else in this universe. This is known to us long, long ago. In spiritual world, we talked about the Atman and Brahman. The Atman being the individual self and the Brahman, the universal self. The individual mind and the universal, the cosmic mind. When I talk about the cosmic mind, people say, oh, these are all spiritual principles, unfounded, unscientific. But when I tell you what is the cosmic mind, you will know what it is. The cosmic mind is conscious Google. If Mr. Google comes with consciousness, he will call this the conscious mind. The great omniscience, all all-knowingness is attributed to Google. You want to get anything, you Google it. Google is no longer a noun, it's a verb. You Google it. So much so, one interesting poem was written about a religious person on Google Arati. You know, in India, we perform Aratrikam, we wave lights for the deity and sing a song in praise of the deity. So you have the Google God present there, and then one person wrote, Jaya Jaya Google Hare, Jaya Jaya Google Hare. Oh Google, you be victorious. What does it mean? It contains a knowledge which you can always access. Every one of our thoughts, Vedanta says, Indian spirituality says, Hindu religion says, every one of what we think is automatically captured by the cosmic mind. In the modern language, we say it's uploaded in the cosmic mind unconsciously, and anybody from anywhere can download it from there. What do you need for that? You need connectivity. Connectivity is called in India by a beautiful Sanskrit word which is now most commonly used. If I tell you the name, you'll be surprised that it has this meaning. To connect in the Sanskrit language means yuj, dhatu. Dhatu is a verbal root. Yuj means to connect. Yujir yoge. From yuj comes the word yoga. Yoga means to connect. Connectivity is yoga. Yukta is a person who is connected. A person who wants connectivity at all times. We want 24/7 uninterrupted connectivity. Now, Wi-Fi connectivity. So it's called Satata Yukta, Nitya Yukta. Words are used in the Bhagavad Gita. So when you connect to the cosmic mind and you want to download something from there, what you need to connect? You need a password in order to access it. This password is called in Hinduism as a mantra. Many of my students ask, why is the mantra so secret? Hinduism is too secretive. It should be transparent, given to everybody. I told him, of course, you are right, you are right. Do you have an email account? Yeah, I have one. Can you give me a password? No, it's my password. I will not give it to anybody. What is so secret about it? There are certain things which are not cheaply thrown like that. You call it a private space which you have. So you connect to the cosmic mind through a particular process. I connect in some ways, everybody connects in his own way. These are called different approaches to religion, different approaches to philosophy, different approaches to life itself. And when you shift from one approach to another, it's called the paradigm shift. The approaches keep on changing, but the principle remains the same. So you have to effectively realize that you are interconnected with every person outside and with nature as a whole, with the sun and the moon and the earth and the planets and the oceans. You are interconnected. You can't live in isolation. This brings to you interdependency. My joy, my happiness depends on the joy and the happiness of everybody else. If I have to be peaceful, everybody around me has to be peaceful. Einstein once said, 100 times a day, I remind myself that my life depends upon the contributions of hundreds around me, hundreds of men living and dead, and that I should give in the same measure as I have received until receiving. I've been constantly receiving from nature, receiving from people. And in order to be able to complete the circuit, I have to give back. If I receive, accumulate, and won't give back, I stagnate and die. This is a very important paradigm shift that is now coming, that you have to open out industries, develop skills, meaning that you should know how each person's skill should be developed in his or her own way. Everybody has a skill in this universe. But we, unfortunately, in our education system, which was handed down to us by Lord Macaulay in 1835, in which he proclaimed that we should give the Indians such an education by which will appear to be Indians from outside, but completely and thoroughly anglicized within, and they will serve the British government like slaves and clerks. There will be no innovation, there will be no enterprise, there will be no industry, and they shall be given such a brainwashing education. And we followed it. For 185 years, we've been proudly following it and slavishly looking to the West for everything. So look inward and look at our past glory, and rather than gloating in the past glory, shed hot, remorseful tears, thinking of the present degeneration, finding out the cost for it, and then looking up forward in future to tremendous renaissance. This is the paradigm shift that we should have. And all our educated men and women should be educated, re-educated, to find out how they can contribute to this huge exercise of nation rebuilding. How do you rebuild the nation? By building your own noble higher character. Why is it that we can't come together? Why is it entrepreneurship is very less in our country? Is because all of us are individualistic. We are loners. Unconsciously, there is an egoism in me that I am superior to you. And you have something which is not the present skill, it's all obscurantist. It's all old and ancient. Every person is a skill, and how to bring out the best in that person, use it for collective good, is one very important skill which is not being taught in our education system. If we have to be very successful industrialists or entrepreneurs, what is important is not infrastructure alone, not skills, not education, but how we can work together in harmony. Even the great industries, I'll not name them, you know all of them. People going to courts, fighting terribly. And at the top level, people are fighting bitterly against each other. So what kind of cohesion shall be there in the industry? The soft skills which we talk about, in which we talk to each other in a friendly manner, share, love, learn. And everyone is unique. This is a fundamental principle. Even the sweeper there is contributing effectively to the organization as much as the general manager sitting in his air-conditioned office and taking decisions. Martin Luther King the Jr. once said beautifully, be proud of what you do, whatever be it. If you are a sweeper, sweep the floor in such a way with the same passion and intensity and love as Picasso would have drawn his paintings, as Beethoven would have composed his music, as Einstein would have dealt with his theories of relativity. So that the angels in the high heavens will look down and say, here is a sweeper who swept the floor well. We should realize everybody is contributing. In school, we read a poem called The Mountain and the Squirrel. Very interesting poem. It's a dialogue between a huge mountain and a small squirrel. And the mountain was proud of its glory, majesty. It told the squirrel, oh, you are a small, little, tiny, insignificant insect compared to me. What can you do? You see, I am carrying such huge forests on my back. And the squirrel gently quipped back. Talents differ. All is well and wisely put. If I cannot carry forests on my back, neither can you crack a nut. Nature has given, God has given everybody some talent. How to bring out the best in a person and use it for the collective good is the essence of entrepreneurship. You may have knowledge. You may be brilliant. Usually, brilliant people are failures in collective entrepreneurship. Because the brilliance which you have puts everybody off, and you carry so much of vanity and air with you, so that other people think, look upon you in awe, and they can't gel with you. So can you behave like an innocent baby who attracts everybody, controls the whole household, but he's absolutely innocent? Swami Vivekananda gave this leadership model of a baby. Now we talk about the servant leadership is very common now. Swamiji gave a model of baby leadership. He says, a baby, apparently innocent, is the master of the whole household. You may be huge, you may be the prime minister of the country, you may be the general manager of a company. If a little child pulls you by the ear and said, come on, go on force like a horse, I want to ride on your shoulders, the dad does it. There's a story in the life of Abraham Lincoln, the finest of the human beings that the world has produced, the best president of the United States. Civil War was going on, and the president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, has called an emergency meeting. Suddenly the child comes and says, Dad, I don't have anybody to play with. You come and you play with me. The child does not know Civil War, nor does it care. Child knows, my dear beloved dad is not giving me company now. You know what Abraham Lincoln did? That is the difference between a person who can gel people together. He smiled and said, told his colleagues, can you carry on the meeting for some time? I'm coming in a minute. He went to his child, played with him for some time, said, you see, I have a very important business. You keep playing, I'm coming soon. It used to be said of Abdul Kalam. There's a famous story. Abdul Kalam was heading a division in missile technology in an Indian Space Research Organization, or one of our past illustrious presidents of India. One of his colleagues was a workaholic, constantly working and working. Once he said his wife was very unhappy. You don't have time for your family. Your children want to go and see that exhibition for circus or somewhere. You should take us today. He said, yes, I will come. He told his boss, Abdul Kalam, said, today I will leave a bit early, that's 5 o'clock, the normal time. But he doesn't go home before 9. I said, can I leave? No, you leave early, don't worry. He said, at 4, can I leave? Of course you should. What's the problem? So I want to take my family and children to this exposition. Oh, well, definitely you should. Go. Next day, he was crying. I totally forgot. He went home in the night and said, he was crying. Oh, I'm so sad. I totally forgot about it. And his wife said, no, you arranged for it. You're so happy when it happened. Abdul Kalam peeped into his office at 4, saw the man deeply engrossed, and then quietly went to his home and told his wife, you see, your husband is caught up badly in a job. He has sent me to take you to the exhibition. Come on, I have a car. So they went, may have had fun and came back. So this is leadership. Behave like a baby. Entrepreneurship means not only infrastructure and money and position and creating wealth, creating human beings who can work in harmony, whose egos don't clash with each other like billiard balls. One of our Swamis used to say, don't clash like billiard balls, your egos. Gel with each other very softly so that all of you can work in tandem. Now, the great revival of this idea internationally, they call it the soft skill development and soft power. Now they say even countries which have hard power, military power, economic power, they perhaps will lose compared to countries which have soft power. In Sanskrit, in Vedanta, we call it Sattvika. When you are Sattvika, when you are calm, when you are loving, when everybody you can bring on board, you have a power by which collectively you can win. Individually, you may not. In India, unfortunately, because we have a slave country over 1,000 years, jealousy and bickerings and quarrels and people trying to outwit everybody has spoiled our country totally. And unfortunately, the present industry's climate, based on the modern management techniques, has taught us that we should compete aggressively. Please, for heaven's sake, for God's sake, don't teach it to your children in our institution. Competitive excellence ultimately will kill you. Competitive excellence is based upon acrimony, outwitting each other, and how you can come up at the expense of another. Today I'm in this company. For 20 years I serve. I learn all the secrets, and I immediately switch over the rival company. I sell myself at a higher price and try to put down this company. Pepsi-Cola and Coca-Cola. Once upon a time, a huge fight. In the World Cup in cricket, who will be the official drink? One of them won, and the other company came out with a brilliant idea. They caught hold of Sachin Tendulkar, the greatest cricket icon. With that, he said, Coca-Cola. Nothing official about it. Nothing official about it went viral, and they ultimately won. There are two types of excellences in entrepreneurship. There's a paradigm shift, which you should think about. One is competitive excellence. I excel more than that person. The other is excellence with regard to your own ideal. I have a vision, I have a mission, I have projected an ideal before me as a company, as an entrepreneur, and I am now finding I am far below the ideal which I have projected myself before me. I strive every day to go up and up, make course corrections, make additions and alterations, constantly thinking about how I can rise up so that I can reach the ideal which I have put before me. That means I am competing with myself to excel. The other is competitive excellence. Competing with somebody else for excellence. And in that there is competition, constant bickering, acrimony, and how I can outwit somebody else. You become glorious. Ah, compared to that company, we perform so well. Don't say that. Let everybody thrive. Let everybody come up and thrive for the greater good of the nation and the world. There is no glory in putting somebody else and then you coming up. Never try to achieve excellence at the expense of somebody. Every human being, every animal, every insect, every plant in this world has come into this world by the will of God if you believe in God, or by nature if you don't believe in God. Nature, of course, you have to believe. Nature has given that. Even a spider which has a beautiful web, all your architectural geniuses and your doctorates in architecture will not be able to make that kind of web. What a pattern it can make. This little insect has that capacity. From its own saliva or some fluid, it makes this web, and it has the capacity to completely take it back into its mouth. There are hundreds such instances in nature. Even an ant has that capacity. Even a mosquito. Now the coronavirus has a capacity which you and I don't have. So have respect for everybody, respect for nature, respect for all human beings. And you need so many things in the world. And nature has enough for man's greed, man's need, but not enough for man's greed, as Mahatma Gandhi once said. So this is the paradigm shift we should now bring in which we should collectively try to bring everybody up and excel with regard to my own ideal, and try in such a way that the whole group comes up, each member of the group contributing for the collective excellence by trying to bring out what is the best in him or her. I will end with a small interesting saying in English, which my teacher wrote in my diary in school. I went to her and she was teaching English. I said, can you write a small sentence which you'll remember in my life? That was nearly 55 years ago. I remember the small sentence. She wrote, express whatever talents God has given you freely, happily. The woods would be silent if no bird sings except those that sing best. Suppose God made a rule, only cuckoos should sing and not crows. The whole forest would be silent like a desert. The place where I live, Velurmat, full of trees and birds. Early in the morning, you can see so many birds chirping and singing. I used to hear the cuckoo beautifully, melodiously, coo, coo. It's so melodious. It's followed by the cry of a crow, ka, 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 ka. The crow is not ashamed that he should not cry before a cuckoo. God has given me this talent. God has given me this voice. Let me express joyfully. Can you not learn this little lesson from a simple crow? If you look at the crow, you can get lessons. Nature teaches you in innumerable ways. So I used to bow down before that crow and said, you have taught me a great lesson today. We are ashamed. He can sing so well. He's such a powerful entrepreneur. He's such a successful industrialist. Before me, I'm a small person. Whenever I meet people, small industries, apologetically they will say, oh, we are a very small industry compared to that. Just like this institution also says, and we are just a small organization. We are just growing. Why are you apologetic? You express what you have. The small little virus is able to shake the whole world. And the virus does not say, I am too small, too timid. It throws a challenge to the whole world and says, now what? So be respectful to nature and then say, bow down to the virus, please, please don't attack us. There is some of the village women, illiterate women, were praying to this virus as goddess Mahamari. Two intellectuals became hue and fry. And then they say, oh, they are under I tell them, see, this little illiterate village folk, they feel is the power of God, so pray to God so that it is removed. Why do you get agitated? You, with all your intellectual pride, are depressed. I'm locked down. I'm loneliness. I'm feeling. I don't know what to do. Those little illiterate women are there praying and singing and clapping their hands full of joy. Why are you so jealous of them? Let them do it in their own way. So this is the Indian way in which you see the manifestation of the glory of God everywhere and realize that the supreme intelligence manifests in innumerable ways. Albert Einstein said he was not a believer in God in that sense. He was my great icon, so I come back to Einstein again and again. He said, my religion consists of a humble adoration of an illimitable intelligence which our dull faculties can comprehend only in the most primitive fashion. How much is their intelligence? 100,000 stars every moment are dying and being born, who are billions of light years away. Galaxies after galaxies are receding, and in one little galaxy called the Milky Way, you have a very small star called the Sun, around which we have so many planets. One of the planets is called the Earth, in which there is a country called India, a country called Australia, a country called so many things. And then where we are sitting little tiny fellows and priding ourselves saying that we are so. And at the same time, we can conceive of the infinite. Human intelligence is endowed by God to conceive and conceptualize and envision a huge, vast intelligence. So there's a combination of the finite and the infinite in a human being. Somebody very pessimistically defined a human being by saying, a human being is a conglomeration of carbon atoms crawling pathetically in a grain of cosmic dust called the Earth. That human being also comprehends the infinite and the supreme. So these are the ideas which we should bring to bear upon people who are going to industry. All the other skills will come automatically. How we can respect one another, how we can share our knowledge and resources, and how we can come and work together. There's a lot of secrecy. I know I will not share it with you, lest you also become great. Don't be afraid. You share it, you will grow. Knowledge is something which grows by sharing, by giving. The more you grow, the more you give, more you grow as a light. This poem which we read in school, as one lamp lights another, nor grows less, nobleness enkindleth nobleness. So this nobility should come to us, humility should come to us. Along with that, the courage to face challenges, not to be cowed down by obstacles. An entrepreneur has to be a courageous person. So Swami Vivekananda said, you should have a large heart to feel and an acutely sharp head to conceive and envision, and courageous hands to implement that vision. Head, hand, and heart, jnana, bhakti, and karma, encircled and interpenetrated by concentration or yoga. This is the model of entrepreneurship Swamiji gave us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Swami Atmapriyanandji. I was thrilled with your thought-provoking lecture, thought-provoking teachings and blessings to this entire world. And I am pleased to tell you, sir, that our Shobit Institute of Engineering and Technology, the seal, if you will see, we are having there the word Tejasvi Navadhamastu. That is the beauty. I was so pleased that and it was so enlightening, this lecture, that the traditional knowledge or the traditional treasure of knowledge of India, it is in a person like you. And we, the youngsters, need to learn from a person like you. I visualize that in ancient time, every Indian was a scientist. Though we had not such type of the modern laboratories, but we had a keen observation. Whatever is written in our Vedas, it is based on the experience. It is based on the observations. And all these observations and experiences, now in present day modern scientific technology, they are being coming true. If you see that I have also gone through this Vedic microbiology, which where Vedic microbiology, you will find that the most of the microbes, they are already described in our Vedic literature. And about the coronavirus, as the pupil, they are most of the pupil, they are thinking that this is a killer virus. No, I am a microbiologist teaching the microbiology since last 45 years. It is not a killer virus. It is the problem of the management. And you have rightly said that the management is the problem. If we are able to manage the things, if we are able to manage life, if we are able to manage house, if we are able to manage industry, if we are able to manage any organization, then we are wonderful. And in management, sir, you have highlighted the leadership skills. The leadership skills are one of the most important thing, and everybody starting from the lowest level up to the last level, this is a chain. And this, in this chain, if you remove any one small piece, then the entire chain will be lost. So as you rightly said and rightly pointed out, that even the sweeper, if he does not sweep the floor well, then the organization will not work. So the maximum what we can do, that we have to inculcate the habit of the leadership skills. And if the leadership skills have been able to be developed, then the things will be. So this is a great challenge for the university, for the industry, for the educationists to work together and to teach the students to work together. And I like or this cosmic mind. Yes, this is true. Every word which comes to our mind, it comes from the cosmic ray. The science or the scientific investigation, they have proved that whatever is coming to our mind, it is, these words are already roaming around. And whatever the words we are saying, these words, they also spread in the universe and they reflect. They keep on reflecting, they keep on. And it depends upon your brain, upon your mind, upon your thought, upon your thinking. If you are having a positive thinking, then you will get the positive words. If you are having the everything positive mind, positive things, it will come, the positive energy will flow. And if you are thinking negative, then the negative energy will flow. So the thoughts are more important. And you said this Google consciousness. Yes. The web, the connectivity. Yes. Our Sanskrit, our literature, it says connectivity, yoga. When we connect in the meditation, when last year I was in one of the yoga center and I wanted to learn meditation. Swamiji, I swear that for half an hour, for 30 minutes, I was in the nature, and I don't know that from where I got the huge energy in my body. For 30 minutes, I lost, and I was able to hear only my respiration breathe, nothing else. That was the beauty of the meditation, which that we had developed, India has developed. And you will find that I have seen some of the people, Swamiji, you know better, that why the people or the Indian saints, they were living for 300, 400 years. There was a fasting system. Now the Nobel laureate, they have got the Nobel Prize. We, the Indians, knew it thousands of years ago that if we are fasting, then our body will get detoxified. So the principles, knowledge, and treasure of the knowledge what India had developed. Now the this is that's why I say that the search has already been done by the Indians. And now what the people they are doing research. They are searching those principles, they are researching those principles which are already laid down in our Indian literature, in Indian treasure of knowledge. And that we need to teach to our students, that we need to transfer to our students, and that the transfer of the knowledge will be able to give a better word and better system. So this upload and download is the most beautiful part of your lecture today. We are uploading in the universe, we are downloading, and this is the knowledge. And this knowledge is one of the most receive and give back. Whatever the society has given to us, whatever I am today, I am because of the society, because of the nature. And as you have rightly pointed out, that everyone has contributed to the formation of this earth, to the formation of this biosphere. Even if we go into the origin of the life, we will find that the microbes were the first, bacteria were the first, and they are surviving billions of years. Through these billions of years, man has evolved at the last. Only few million years are. And what man is contributing to the nature? We are taking oxygen from the nature, we are taking water from the nature, we are cutting the plants, we are doing every nonsense thing we are doing to the nature, and we are not contributing it back. And there is a calculation which I would like to share, that if we contribute $1 to the nature, then the nature gives us back $9, 9 times. So please, and through this big and great platform, because I am the sectional president of the Environmental Science of the Indian Science Congress for 2 consecutive years this time, and I would like to say that the culture what we have developed, that the vertical growth of the large buildings and the horizontal plantation in the beautiful lawns, it will spoil our entire universe. It will spoil our entire world. It will spoil our entire environment. So please try to change the definition of the forest, jungles. Jungles are not those which are the large. Jungles are those which are having the large biodiversity. And we should make a law. We should teach the students. We should teach the students of management and all, that every industry, every house should have a small jungle, a small area, 10 to 25% of the total area, where we can allow all living creatures to live, and vertical growth of the plants and the biodiversity. So the your sattvic philosophy, model management techniques, and your most important thing, what the Swamiji has said, that whenever you are in an organization, compete yourself with your own ideals. Don't compete with the other. If you are competing with yourself, you are setting your ideals, you will be at top. And if you are engaged in the competition with the others, you will use some such type of the things which are not good for the entrepreneurship. Is not only the infrastructure, but the creation of the work leadership. You have given a right thought, and our educational policy, and you have given a very good thought provoking things, because Many of the people were thinking that without development of the infrastructure, it will be difficult for us to implement this national education policy. That is that we have to develop that work culture. And if we are having a work culture like Japan, Germany, and the other countries, then we will be also again at the top. The nature web is one of the great idea what we have given, and love nature, be close to the nature, and the nature, learn from the nature. That is the essence of Swamiji's lectures. On behalf of myself, on behalf of organizers, and on behalf of the entire Environmental Science Indian Science Congress, I thank you and bye bow, and I greet you on this big platform for giving a thought-provoking lecture, and for giving and sharing your knowledge and experience with the young people like us, so that we can get enrich from your experience and from your knowledge. Thank you very much.
I would like to, with your permission, sir, Professor Garg sir, I would
Yes.
like to say something to Swamiji. Swamiji, namaskar. Our family members are very close to your institution because my wife, her brother is also the part of Ramakrishna Mission and as a student. And not only that, I have also associated sometimes in different way. And Belur Mott is one of the my favorite place, not only for religion or and in that respect, but it's the one of the favorite place of mine. And whenever I got the time from my busy schedule, I tried to visit Belur Mott to just see it and something. So in this, I will be very happy. I'm very privileged that you have joined. You have accepted my request invitation also. And in future, I'm planning to work with you in your institution. If anyhow I can be associated, my institution, through my institution, I can be associated because I am also focusing for the youth, for their employment also. And in that case, academically or in any academic way, if I can be it possible for us to associate with you, I will be very happy and honored, and I will definitely meet with you.
So you are most welcome. You can come and then discuss over the telephone, or Zoom, or online. We'll discuss collaborations. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
So please allow me to leave now. I have
Sure,
other-
sir. Sure. অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ। Thank you. So, sir, Professor Garg, sir, you may continue with Dr. Krish.
Thank you.
So now I request Dr. Chris to enlighten us with his beautiful experience, thoughts, and his experience. Thank you, please. And
Thank you.
welcome to this platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Vice Chancellor. Believe it or not, we have something in common. I started off as a microbiologist as well. So,
Great,
lot
great,
of
great.
exciting discussions there. Okay, I will share my screen and commence. Okay, is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, and hear me as well? Yeah, you can all hear me? Great. Okay, what I'll do is
We are able to hear you, and we are able to see you, and we are able to see your screen. All.
Great.
You have nicely designed your PPT, sir.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have to pick the right flag, don't we?
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, I'll start now. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for this kind invitation to talk about a very important topic, India's capability building. And an acronym I've selected is to adapt and adept. And we're only talking about two of the elements of what's needed in part of India's nation capability building. That is education and entrepreneurship. So we've all seen how the pendulum swings, or the cradle here. Many years ago, we were told globalization is the future, and that it doesn't matter if your workforce is displaced from India to Vietnam or Philippines or China, it's part of the common good. However, we've all noticed, and as have we in Australia and my colleagues in Africa, Europe, US, that under the pandemic stress, the integrity of globalization hasn't worked or needs fine-tuning. Now, what I would say is that the global development seeks equilibrium with national interests. And this is the stage we're at. And we can see on this slide, your Prime Minister talking about 5 pillars of self-reliance. And on the other corner of the slide, one of the key institutional proponents of globalization, talking about we need a reset. We acknowledge the current model is not working. What we think is important in the nation capability building is a tiered approach. That is, activities that have to occur immediately and have been occurring since the pandemic, but also what institutional pillars and foundations need to be set moving forward. So for the short-term transformation, what I wanted to focus on is one of the platform market providers which the conference organizer, SAIARD, has successfully built, which touches both local and international environments across education, entrepreneurship, and other environments. The second stream, building resilient value chains in education, entrepreneurship, rebuilding the multi-stakeholder partnerships, as well as looking at social innovation, an area which the Indian consciousness trumps the Google consciousness and has been a strength for millennia. Now it has a role to play for the rest of the world, as well as resilient value chains assisting in global challenges which existed pre-COVID and carry through. So if we look at the first stream, leveraging platform players. Okay, SAIARD, what are they doing that's interesting? Education. They're providing a simple mechanism of education as well as complex links with education to what we're hearing is the future in some tertiary environments called micro-credentialing, where people will attend an institution in order to qualify for a very small particular field and then be immediately employable. In entrepreneurship, SAIARD is involved in relationships with academic, national, including these sorts of forums, as well as international. So we're speaking with them and hope very shortly to work with SAIARD to introduce the Youth Global Empowerment Program, which builds entrepreneurs based on the passion that people have within themselves, as well as the international relationships which SAIARD has with German incubators and other groups in different parts of the world, including Africa. Commercial transactions. So it's not only about education entrepreneurship, but it's the commercial side. Now that's really important because it enables transactions to occur within India, but also outside India, and to bring them together. Now, in the space we're in, commercialization, we understand that it's a supply chain. It's a bit like a factory where there are several elements that interact with each other in order to deliver an outcome. We know that very well in the IT space. We know that even in automotive, where certain activities are done within a region and then they're undertaken globally. So SAIARD has existing and growing relationships in this space. So collectively, these 4 elements provide a fantastic model for nation capability building. If SAYARD produced 1,000 versions or entities around the country, that still would not be enough because the need is so great, but the model they have works very well. Now, another element I have on this page is the one that we all talk about, money. Oh, it's a great idea, but how's this going to happen? We have no money. No one wants to invest in entrepreneurs. We're not connected to the Americans who have this culture. We're not connected to some of the old European institutional money. Well, let me tell you now, there is a huge amount of money available. It's plentiful and available now. It can't invest in real estate because the real estate returns have dropped as people are having financial issues. It can't invest in the stock market, but because again, that's fragmented. No one knows what's going to go on. They're looking for financing a sustainable recovery. And this is what the point of this program wants to achieve. The creation of sustainable programs coming from innovation and creativity to solve post-COVID needs as well as existing needs. And the money is from foreign and national sources seeking growth. So I know it's easy for me to say this, but the financial global community is in big trouble because they have more money than they've ever had and they don't know where it's going to grow. And as I've said repeatedly in our organization and to other groups, money is agnostic. It's just looking for somewhere to grow. So by creating the model that the Prime Minister's talking about, there will be a lot more money flowing in from India as well as international sources. So what we have here is obviously the center of the world being India, but no, that joke aside, we have the fact that SAYARD operates within their local jurisdiction geography. And what it does then is interconnects with other supply chain providers, the innovators, the financiers, the developers of projects, the commercialization, the international market. And that is a wonderful model to replicate across hundreds of projects in the country. Now, however, because this is a global opportunity, then the SAYARDs of this world interact with the equivalent globally because there are global environments that need assistance as well and need to take projects, whether you're developing a new car, whether you're developing solar projects, renewable energy, academic online learning projects. You then need to be able to commercialize that to a global platform. So what the global community can do is interact with organizations like SAYARD and say, right, you're able to package and prepare a project to a particular stage. Fantastic. We are part of the ex-India global environment and commercialize that and provide value back into India as well. So stream 2, education. What do we need? We need more technical depth for students. They need to understand STEM and the fundamentals of science rather than some of the other disciplines. And this is not an issue for India. It's an issue across the globe. We all know that STEM students have sharply decreased. Yet when you're building a bridge, a new medicine, agricultural technology, engineering technology, you need to understand the science before you can connect your vision and your big values. And I'm pleased to see that Rania Lampu will be speaking tomorrow, because she has a fascinating way of building excitement in the young children through education, her model. And I'd love to take that globally. It's really impressive. I think for India, this is ideal as well. Reasoning and questioning, flourishing of creativity and innovation. That is part of our core Youth Global Empowerment Program, headed by Dr. Ria Ertz, where it's all about extracting the passion and then exciting it to come up with creative projects and innovation. In the West, this is dampened substantially through mediocrity in learning and collaborative environments seeking mediocrity, and innovation and creativity is rarely on the platform as a requirement for children. That needs to be front and center. But of course, you've got to have your underpinning of depth of understanding science. Lateral thinking and problem solving. India is really good at that. I sit as mentor of incubators around the world, and the Indian innovators really lateral in their thinking. Let's make that an ambition and an expectation in education. And solving problems with limited resources. India, again, much better than the West, much better than the West. But let's put that in a challenge for each of the disciplines. And there's no reason why your fantastic space industry can't dish out problems to kids in primary school, secondary school, saying, hey, come up with how you think we should deal with this. Now, new cognition technology, artificial intelligence. Isn't that an area that would be fascinating? I've written an article recently in Australia's biotechnology publication where I said, artificial intelligence, we like it, but we're scared with it. Well, why can't we use it to identify whether it's infectious disease outbreaks, whether it's problems that need to be solved in one industry or market segment across India? And let's get that straight away and spread it out to 1,000 people, 1 million people asking for problem solving, lateral thinking. How do we solve these problems? That's where artificial intelligence is excellent for building nation capability. So it's building back into the needs of the local industry, and through the SAYARD equivalents, then commercializing as appropriate and feeding the model to the world. Connectedness, that's been discussed previously very well, much better than I could possibly communicate, but it's all about people within India and outside India across different supply chains. There are lots of relationships, and indeed, SAYARD has excellent relationships. I met them through a conference I gave in Nigeria several months ago. Who would have thought a year ago that we would have met through Nigeria via an online platform? But that's just how it is. And then they've introduced us to different parties around the world, and we will do the same. Entrepreneurship. Well, that needs substantial policy and curricular changes. We need kids in primary school, secondary and tertiary to have this, I would say, even as a subject, even though it dovetails across the other streams that they currently teach. They've got to be able to see that this is a way of thinking, a way of normative behavior. The soft skills. I've used the word moral intelligence instead of emotional intelligence because I've been reading a little bit about the importance of emotional intelligence, and then reading one of my ancestors, Aristotle, and he actually referred to moral intelligence as well as intellectual intelligence. And I'm pleased that the previous speaker, the Swami, mentioned a lot about the philosophical values and spiritual values. Now, that quality of intelligence and intellectual intelligence are soft skills that need to be taught, because they will lead to a different way of how we handle challenges in life, how the IT community, whether it's apps or Google or Facebook or Twitter, how they connect to customers. Because at the moment, they're not doing a very good job. The hard skills in entrepreneurship, mentorship. It's a hard and risky game. And like anything, you need mentors. You need to understand how you deal with challenges. You need to understand business growth and financial affairs when you are starting something, even though you may not take the business several stages in its development, you still need to understand the fundamentals of business and financial. So these can be taught at school quite successfully, I believe. And even at an early age, because kids mop that stuff up, even in primary school. Supply chain connectedness inside and ex-India, sorry. The key there is, as we've said before, there are various parts of the supply chain that you have to get involved with. People protecting your intellectual property, product development, innovators, manufacturers, market, identifying distributors, who's going to want pricing strategy. There are different groups that currently do that. Got to bring them together in a model. So in terms of education entrepreneurship, we need to be adapt and adept. We need to create new resilient organizations. We've seen how this has played out for national emergencies. We now need to see how it's going to play out in post-emergency reality, where mental health is a big problem, financial management and people's businesses closing because they weren't able to trade for a long time. How will you now be able to bring people to your store in a post-COVID environment? Is it going to be a limitation of numbers? Now, international risk reset. We still have those issues that we need to deal with. But there is a risk reset as well. Climate change. There's a lot of pollution that is being emitted every day, including production of plastics that aren't recycled, even if they are recycled. There's a lot of thinking we need to take into place for that. Now, tooling the next two generation of workers and philosophers. Now, there's a term you won't see very often in business presentation, but in this forum, from what we've heard to date, this is the key. Tooling the mindset, reflecting on the heritage of millennia, is extremely important. We should be able to come up with ways for peace building, not just locally with countries surrounding India, but across the world. Human dignity and wealth disparity. We're all told about how the wealth disparity is getting worse and worse. Well, we need to manage that, both in terms of what is it that we really want in life? Do we all aspire to having X number of vehicles, X number of trips overseas, X size home? How should we share the wealth as well? And cyber threats, a term which we've forgotten about in the last 6 months. But again, that's very important as we come into post-COVID. There's some of the thoughts we have. We think India is very well placed moving forward to adopt the new model of self-reliance, but also to dovetail and provide substantial and important learnings for the rest of the world and the planet. And as I said, SAYARD's a classic model for doing things very well. We need it to be resilient, expanded, and we'd love to work with you. And thank you very much to everyone for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chris Sotiera Paulus. I am pleased and happy to listen and hear you. And I saw that You have given some wonderful comments on Indian education policy or this national education policy which has been recently launched by Government of India or now the Ministry of Education. I was in fact delighted, thrilled, and to see your ideas and to see your crisp of the education policy what you have described in the few 2 3 slides which are most important and which you have seen that I have taken some photos and I have also made the notes. Wonderful, because this is the thing what we need, because we have to interact with the different people and we have to interact and we have to see the views and we have to see the analysis by those who are not connected internally with India. And I was happy to see that from a person from Australia, you are having such a great interest in Indian national education system. I would like that Australia, it was my first visit in 1981. When I was doing, I had just completed my PhD, and then there was a International Botanical Congress, and that was my first foreign visit, and where I made a presentation in Sydney. And I have a very good friend there in Melbourne Institute. He's the Deputy Pro Vice Chancellor, Suresh Bhargav. And I have been interacting with him also just last week, that what he visualized about our Indian national education policy. Exactly the same what you have pointed out. Yes, and along with the collaboration with the SIAD, you are doing wonderful job, I will say. And I would like to congratulate uh, Roy Chaudhary, Vishwajit Rai Chaudhary, for having the collaboration with such a nice and talented guy. And if you are having such good friends who can show you the right path and who are able to show you the mirror, and they can contribute to your growth. So I would like to make few comments on few things, or the summarize your lecture that he has beautifully summarized, that the economics, infrastructure, system, social innovation, global challenge, entrepreneurship, education, and the value chains. These are the most important requirements of the present day Indian educational system. In the global environment, technical depth, what you have described, this is the reasoning, questioning. This was the slide of today, the stream two. The slide of, I will say, the entire theme what Vishwajit Roy Chaudhary has devised for the 2 days international session or the international discussion, the reasoning and questioning. Without reasoning and questioning, no education can develop. There is nothing if we are not having any reasoning and questioning. So the education, any education policy, any educational system, any lecture must promote this reasoning and questioning, flourishing and creativity and innovation. This has been the priority, or this has been the beauty of our new education policy. The creativity and the innovation. As Swamiji also said, that the Lord Macaulay brought a system to India which was not for the development of India, but it was for serving the Indians to the Britishers. And that's why now the government has devised a policy, and if it is really implemented in the right spirit by the educational institution like SIAD, Soviet University, Delhi University, JNU, and all these big institutions and the good institutions, then certainly we will be the one of the leaders again, and we will be again towards the Atmanirbhar Bharat. The policy is very good, and you have given that the new cognition technology, artificial intelligence. Yes, in next 10 years you will find that the jobs will be only for the artificial intelligence people, for the robotics. And cyber threat is one of the most important fields where India and the world needs to focus and connect and connectedness. Connectedness. This is the most important thing. If we are not connected, we will be lost. So the entire education should be focused on the connectedness, communication within and outside. And you have also focused on the curriculum integration, that the primary, secondary, and the tertiary education, soft skills and the hard skills, and the supply chain of the connectedness. This is the one of the key factors which is now required by any educational system. The intellectual property rights, and this needs to be focused, adapt and adapt. This is the beauty of your lecture and the summary, and we all must learn. I would like to say with my young friends and those who are the participant over here that, and would like to request on behalf of the SIAD that if you will share your these slides with the participants, then they will be happy and they will be able to analyze the things in a more fruitful manner, because a person who is sitting at a long distance, and Australia is one of the leading country at present, one of the leading competitive country in education in the world, and many of the Indians, they are going to, so you are having the vision of the world, you are having the vision of India, and you can rightly analyze about the situation and the things. So on behalf of myself, on behalf of SIAD, and on behalf of Indian Science Congress Environmental Section, but I will say that I didn't find any microbiology in your lecture. and I doubted in the entire lecture that are you really a working microbiologist? I think that now you have been converted to the educational administration. And
when I finished, yes, I did a postdoc in microbiology, oral microbiology.
Oh, great. The oral microbiology, yes.
Unfortunately, I'm not a practicing microbiologist now, but I still get the journal articles, and I'm still following COVID, and we deal with one of our Nobel laureates here, and we discuss the diseases areas. So it's a fascinating area, very important for health as well, and for balance and vitality of the human condition.
This is great. I would like to just have one question as a microbiologist. So what is the best strategy in Australia to fight with this COVID?
The best
what is the best strategy the Australians are following? And as a microbiologist, what is your opinion?
Yeah, it's just simple. It's social isolation. That's the simple thing that has
isolation is the one. But maybe that you cannot work in the isolation all the time, the 24 hours.
Yes,
but if you are infected or contaminated, I will say it, or something like that, what is the strategy for treatment, or what is the strategy for curbing it? The Australians are following.
Yeah, so we're doing whatever the Americans are doing. There's no difference here. We're waiting for a vaccine, obviously, but before that, it's masks, it's distance, it's minimizing numbers. So very simple. There's no classic microbiology being done. Lots of testing.
Yes, lots of testing. Yes,
but
this testing is helping in the early stage of the diagnosis.
Yes, but even the testing is difficult.
Yes, but the testing, as a microbiologist, the antigen testing and RT-PCR both are very, very complicated systems. Sometimes I will request Raj Chaudhary to organize some webinar or something on this COVID-19 is diagnosis, prevention, and strategies. So maybe that it does not fit into its system. So I will organize such type of the one conference, and then because I strongly feel that this COVID-19, because it has selected such type of the age cells which can infect ACE2, ACE2, and the TRMP2 cells, which are in all the cells. So if we continue to take warm water and this kadha, which has been prescribed by the ministry, then to some extent we can protect ourselves.
Yes, yes.
Of course, wearing of mask in the crowded place, But if you are walking on the street, or if you are taking a walk in the morning, or if you are playing, mask is not necessary. And if you are in the crowded place, then you have to take care. And there are the scientific reports that if you are sitting in a air conditioned room where the air is not circulating towards the outside, and if there are more than 2 people, then also you have to wear the mask. So the crowded place and the isolated place needs to be taken care of. Thank you very much, Dr. Chris. It was nice to have your views as an external expert, or the global expert, I will say, on education policy. And I would congratulate the organizers for inviting such a talented young educationist to this big platform. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure as well. Thank you.
So now
I would say just a few words,
yes.
Dr. Chris, with the permission, because first of all, thank you for being the case study of SIAD as a part of UPT, and it's really nice. Thank you for honoring our institution. As well as I would like to say, Professor Garg, and that in the coming month, we have a plan to organize a COVID-related, the COVID-related webinar, where different countries' health ministry, I have a plan to associate how they manage the COVID situation in that case. And also it will be most probably, I have think, in the coming Sunday or up next Sunday. So I will definitely inform. So I'll try to associate different countries' ministry, because
Yes.
health ministry part. So as that
Yes,
they
welcome.
can say something.
Welcome. I'm of the strong opinion that this is a mismanagement, because the virus is not killer.
Yes, sir.
This is not a killer virus.
Yes.
There are several viruses which are much more dangerous than this COVID-19.
Yes.
But why then we are having so many deaths? This is the mismanagement,
Okay.
miscommunication.
Yes, sir. Right. You are
And
right. So on that basis, we
transmission.
will discuss. We will keep a roundtable discussion type. So
Thank you.
next resource person, Professor Muhammad Ali sir, is also present. So what to you, sir, to invite him? Professor Garg, sir.
I now invite Professor Muhammad Ali. He's the Vice Chancellor, I think.
Yeah, Vice
Yeah.
Chancellor, University.
Yes, Muhammad Ali. And actually, I had requested Dr. Vishji to give me the biodata and CV for all the speakers, but I think that he forgot. But
I just say a few words about Professor Ali.
Yes,
Professor
yes,
Ali was
sir.
faculty of a Vidyasagar College one time, in my college also, and privileged that sir was joined, and after that sir was the faculty member of the Jadavpur University, and now he holding a very valuable and important charges of Aliya University as a vice chancellor.
Oh,
and sir is also chemistry, right, sir?
Yeah, chemistry.
And sir is very nice person. Whenever you ask for any suggestion, he very I know he's busy schedule, but I disturb him, this person, but he's quite calm way. He suggests me that this is the way you can do that. So thank you, sir, on behalf of SIAD. First time you have joined with us, and it's our privilege.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. C. Shatteropoulos Poulos, co-founder and CEO, Global Opportunities, Commercialization, Australia, and Professor Omar G. Gorg, the Vice Chancellor, Sobit University, Meerut, organizers of the virtual conference, South Asian Institute for Advanced Research and Development, SIARD, and the participants of the conference. I wish all you a very good afternoon. Probably this is afternoon time, and you know, sorry. Next. The theme of the international conference, Paradigm Shift in Education and Entrepreneurship, is a very pertinent topic in today's change scenario. There is a paradigm shift in pre and post March 2020 education scenario. Till March, online classes were not a household word. Today, homes have been converted to virtual schools, colleges, universities, and offices. We have coined a new terminology, webinar, which has become the most commonly used word in the last 6 months in academia. Virtual has become the new reality in the background of such condition of adjusting to the new normal. We had the announcement of National Education Policy 2020 or NEP 2020. In the words of Dr. K. Kosturarangan, chairperson of the committee drafting the National Education Policy, India's quote, India's education structure needs no fine-tuning, but a definite change in totality. That is NEP 2020 sees a reflection of the chairman's interview in June 2019. You know that the National Policy on Education was last revised in the year 1986. 34 years after the last revision of normal National Policy on Education, approval of NEP 2020 by the Union Cabinet was announced by the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Mr. Narendra Modi, on 29th July 2020. It signaled a paradigm shift in the entire education system of India. The focus was on to access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability in education, and main vision was to transform India into a self-sufficient global knowledge economy through a holistic, flexible, and multidisciplinary education system that suits its challenging needs of the 21st century. 100% gross enrollment ratio in the school education by 2030. The NEP 2020 has called for a transformational reforms in school and higher education sectors. By transformational, it means that the reforms will change or transform India into a self-sufficient or Atmanirbhar global knowledge economy through a holistic education system to meet the challenge of future. The Sustainable Development Goals 2030 or global goals of the United Nations has set 17 goals to eradicate poverty, protect the planet, and ensure peace and prosperity for all people. The fourth SDG is to ensure exclusive and equitable quality education and inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. NEP 2020 wants to ensure access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability in the education as per the SDGs. NEP 2020 has set a target for universalization of education from preschool to secondary level with 100% gross enrollment ratio in school education by 2030, aligning with SDG 4, and to bring 2 crore out of school children back into the mainstream through and open schooling system. NEP 2020 also recognizes the contribution of teachers to learning outcomes. Hence, National Curriculum Framework for Teacher Education, that is NCFTE 2021, has been drafted to enhance teaching standards and recruitment. Teacher training will be of 1 year and 2 year B.Ed courses, while the 4-year integrated multidisciplinary B.Ed will continue for those without an existing bachelor's degree. Additionally, the National Mission for Mentoring through a large pool of outstanding senior and retired faculty will contribute to bridging both the capacity and the skill gaps. You know that previously it was 10+2 model of school education, which has been replaced replaced with a 5+C+C+4 system for holistic child development. Children in the age group of 3 to 8 years will be in the foundation level, that is up to class 2. Activity-based learning and play will be the adopted pedagogy here. 8 to 10 years will be in the preparatory level, that is up to class 5. Through play, discovery, interactive and activity-based learning, children will get prepared for the middle school. And 11 to 14 years will be middle school level, that is up to class 8, experimental learning covering science, mathematics, arts, social science, and humanities. And age group 40 to 18 years will be in the secondary level, multidisciplinary study, greater critical thinking, flexibility, and choice of subjects are the major highlights of this level. The +2 of the 10+2 system has got integrated in the 4th level. There are a number of concepts behind the changes suggested at the school level, especially the focus on instruction in mother tongue or regional language till grade 5 and preferably till grade 8. Introduction to vocational courses from class 6 and many more. However, I would like to focus on the policies related to the higher education only. The government has also proposed drastic changes in the higher education. The target is, it has set a target of achieving gross enrollment ratio of 50% by 2035 from the current 26.3%. It also proposes to increase the seat capacity by another 3.5 crore and increase public investment in the education to 6% of GDP. In higher education, the government plans to achieve holistic education with a flexible curriculum and multiple exit options and certification at every exit point. College will be mandated to give certificate after completing 1 year in a discipline or field including vocational and professional areas, a diploma after 2 years of study, or a bachelor's degree after 3 years of program, bachelor's with research after 4 years. Under NEP 2020, there will be no rigid separations between arts and sciences, between curricula and extracurricular activities, between vocational and academic streams. Students can select subjects of their liking across the streams. Vocational education will start in schools from the 6th grade and will include internships. And here, there are some changes here. One of this is the discontinuation of MPhil and UG and PG and PhD levels to become interdisciplinary. The concept of academic bank of credits has been introduced to facilitate transfer of credits. The bank will digitally score academic credits earned from different higher education institutions so that these can be transferred and counted towards final degree earned. The next, multidisciplinary education and research universities, that is MERUs, will be set up as model of best multidisciplinary education of global standards. It will be at par with IITs and IIMs. These would benefit students aiming at selective learning, certification, and securing early employment opportunities. With focus on encouraging research, an apex body, that is National Research Foundation, will be set up to build a research culture and research capacity across higher education. Higher Education Commission of India, that is HECI, will set up as a single overreaching umbrella body for entire higher education, excluding medical and legal education. Both public and private higher education institutions will be governed by the same set of norms for regulation, accreditation, and academic standards. National Education Technology Forum, that is NETF, will be created to have exchange of ideas on the use of technology to enhance learning. PARAK, that is Performance Assessment, Review, and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development, will function as a new national assessment center. Reforms in academic assessment will emphasize on competency, promote learning and development, testing analytical skills, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity. To tackle brain drains, the best global universities will open in India, terming NEP as a solution for increasing brain drain in the country. PM Modi said that the establishment of world-class universities and colleges within the country would help middle-class students access to top education and limit the trend of studying abroad. Other major reforms include Gender Inclusion Fund, Special Education Zones for disadvantaged regions and groups. Multilingualism is accepted in both school and secondary level. Government will phase out the affiliation of colleges in 15 years, and a stage-wise mechanism is to be established for granting graded autonomy to colleges. NEP focuses on, therefore, we can see that there is a paradigm shift in the field of education. NEP focuses on passion, practicality, and performance, and is a major step towards moving away from a one-size-fits-all approach. Stress on vocational education, learning than study. The NEP is a step in the right direction of seeking a fine balance between the needs of highly integrated global world and the need to respect the diversity and local context in all curriculum, pedagogy, and policy. School curriculum and pedagogy have been holistically changed to fit the skills and requirements of the day. Curricular content has been reduced, but it requires enhanced critical thinking and a greater focus on practical learning. Students will have more option of subjects to choose from. Hence, education will be tailor-made and not of one size fits all. To accomplish this, choice of subjects together with increased flexibility has been given, diluting the difference between various streams like arts and sciences and engineering. The aim of laying the foundation towards multidisciplinary and flexible learning from the school level. The world's biggest lockdown due to COVID-19 has severely impacted the domestic economic activities, thereby affecting the GDP growth. Atmanirbhar Bharat, in English it is Self-Reliant India, is the vision of Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, of making India a self-reliant nation. The first mention of this came in the form of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, or Self-Reliant India Mission, during the announcement of coronavirus pandemic related economic package on 12 May 2020, when a financial package of rupees 20 lakh crore equaling to 10% of the national GDP was announced. The Abhiyan proposes to make the nation self-reliant in all spheres, from manufacturing to supplying, with more focus on local manufacturers and service providers. It is expected that this will strengthen the economy, improve the standard of living, and most importantly, improve the trade deficit and the exchequer balance of the country. Making the country self-reliant, it will help the country to reduce its dependence on imports and may also give a boost to exports. The fall in imports will help reduce the trade deficit and will eventually lead to trade surplus. To understand the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan package, let us have a look at this, its contents. The like tranche 1, rupees 5,94,550 crore of rupees has been sanctioned in here for funding and loan guarantees for MSMEs, NBFCs, and HFCs, Discom, power distribution companies, that is Discoms, contractors and real estate and salaried workers. Tranche 2, it worth rupees 3,10,000 crore, focus on migrant workers, small farmers, street vendors, and the poor. Tranche 3 worth rupees 1,50,000 crore is for the agriculture and allied sectors like dairy, animal husbandry and fisheries. Tranche 4 worth rupees 48,100 crore, focuses on 8 critical sectors, which are coal, minerals, defense production, airspace management, social infrastructures projects, power distribution companies, space sectors, and atomic energy. The package is distributed covering different sectors, of which MSMEs under tranche 1 and tranche 2 and 3 have the maximum potential to become entrepreneurs. The 5 pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat include economy, infrastructure, system, and demography and demand. The mission is likewise expected to supplement Make in India initiative, which plans to energize fabricating in India. It is very clear from the discussion, so that the Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign is a call to encourage entrepreneurship. So, what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is an act for seeking investment and production opportunity, developing and managing a business venture so as to undertake production function, arranging inputs like land, labor, material, and capital, introducing new techniques and products, and identifying new sources for the enterprise. Individuals have been urged to transform the local India into global India by creating an environment of innovation and entrepreneurship. The Atmanirbhar Bharat seeks to boost entrepreneurship, nurturing innovation and development of an environment for rural-urban symbiotic development. India's call for a self-reliant economy is to identify and capitalize on the inherent strengths of the country, especially manpower. The Prime Minister had also urged people to adopt made in India products to benefit domestic businesses, and that every Indian must become vocal for our local. COVID-19 has laid bare the state of employment opportunities for the rural people. The colossal reverse migration of laborers from cities to the villages highlighted the disproportionate concentration of economic opportunities in the country's urban areas. Lakhs of migrant workers have returned to villages and are without jobs and livelihood. They need to look for jobs outside agricultural sectors. Hence, the stress is on skill-based training, which will encourage entrepreneurship and motivate common people to be a part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Identifying people, especially women, from the marginalized groups who have the potential to understand technology. Several organizations are today working towards empowering migrant laborers to turn into rural entrepreneurs and seek better opportunities by providing them with resources. As for example, Tata Power launches marketplace for its rural entrepreneurs as the swahiliworld.org. This website will offer products such as such as apparel, handicrafts, dairy, herbal, agricultural items, and COVID-19 essentials made by self-help groups and farmers. The aim behind launching the marketplace is to empower rural entrepreneurs and provide them financial independence. A MOU signed between CSC and Coca-Cola India, that is Common Service Centers, CSC, Common Service Centers, and Coca-Cola India having signed a MOU to boost outreach in rural India by providing Coca-Cola's products on CSC's Grameen e-stores platforms. The key markets are in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Uttar Pradesh and Haryana. This partnership has enabled the availability of affordable essential consumers products at doorsteps in rural India through village level local entrepreneurs and e-kirana stores, common service centers, etc. CSC and Coca-Cola's initiative promotes rural entrepreneurship and building livelihoods by mapping supply points to village level entrepreneurships. NEP strives to make India into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. As stated earlier, the emphasis is on digital literacy and promotion of critical thinking and experimental learning. And the National Research Foundation will create a strong research culture in making India a net knowledge producer instead of capitalizing on the knowledge produced by other innovators like in softwares and pharmaceutical sectors. NEP's focus on vocational skills along with practical knowledge would help the youth of the nation to become employed. The rapidly increasing applications of artificial intelligence, big data, and machine learning have forced us to think in a multidisciplinary approach for complex problem solving. It is therefore important to point out that NEP 2020 emphasizes on introducing multidisciplinary studies and critical thinking approaches at the school and college level academic curriculum. The need for creative thinking, critical analysis, and innovative solution has been continually rising in today's globalized and competitive world. Therefore, the need to set higher standards in skilling and training by ensuring the multifaceted framework through vocational and multidisciplinary education is the need of the hour. This would pave the way for competitive advantage in global markets for India. It envisions an India-centered education system that contributes directly to transforming India into a global superpower. The silence over the existed, there are some, there are some limitations of this NEP 2020. It remains silence over existence of public schools and their commercialization, and it didn't say anything about the language of education, that mode of education. The financial implications of the implementation of education reforms have not been worked out here. The flexibility in length and structure of undergraduate degree proposed by NEP is little bit problematic. A bachelor's and master's program can be either 3+2 or 4+1. The incompatibility will stop the mobility of students between universities. And if there is an exit option at the end of every year in every institution, it will be almost impossible to design curricula that are suitable both for students who exit and who stay for completions. And in conclusion, there is no doubt that there are challenges in the way of implementation of NEP 2020, the proposed dynamic, holistic, multidisciplinary education policy. Both the state and the center has to try and implement the revised education policy. There is no denying that education has a crucial role to play in making India self-reliant and prosperous, and the new global education policy has been introduced with this objective. With strengthened research and innovation, India will progress in a competitive world. Challenges are infrastructure upgradation and, much importantly, attaining global infrastructural standards in the long run. And it needs that the center and state government would concurrently come up with the detailed guidelines for training the teachers, jointly prepare academic curriculum, and several other rules and regulations that will provide the greater subjective understanding and bring further clarity to national education policy. In the years to come, the outcomes of this, of having adopted critical thinking at a multidisciplinary level, shall surely enable India to improve the skills and problem-solving capabilities of its citizens and make India self-reliant. And with this, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Muhammad Ali, the Vice Chancellor of Aliyah University. In fact, I am very happy to see that you have summarized the entire national education policy and in the slides, and you have beautifully summarized that how this national education policy has been created and how this has been linked together with different things. And this is the right topic for the right seminar or the right topic of the webinar what the organizers have selected. And you have in the first slide, few slides, you have rightly pointed out the school education, middle education, you have compared the existing system and the new system what has been proposed. And yes, you have rightly said that there are several still drawbacks, or there are still confusions, or there is no clarity as far as the higher education is concerned. It seems if we see the entire policy, then we will find that it is focusing on 100% literacy and on the primary and middle education. The higher education, about the higher education, the planners of the policy, they are little bit confused. For example, you have rightly pointed out that the master's program, it will be after 4+1 or 3+2. And the research program will similarly. And even in the B.Ed education, the same position. The agriculture education has not been touched, which is one of the most important aspects in the entire national education policy. And I would like to point out from this great platform that the most important shortcoming of this policy is that if you see this primary and secondary syllabus of the CBSE and the CBSE course, you will find that they are having the 33 skill-based courses. And out of these 33, there are only the 3 courses which are related to the agriculture. And the agriculture, 60% of the population of the country is depending on the agriculture, and agriculture is contributing 17% to the GDP. So this vital sector of the agriculture has been grossly neglected in the primary education, secondary education, as well as in the higher education. So this is the one very important thing, and it is our duty. And I would like to say to Dr. Chaudhary, Mr. Chaudhary, that when you make the recommendations and when you conclude this, then you should have the enough focus, because when we concluded and we had organized a conference where the 30 vice chancellors had joined us, and we had also made the certain recommendations. so that it is our duty to bring out and to point out the certain shortcomings which are in the national education policy. And the another thing that we are having it, that the government is having a vision that by such and such date, by 2022, we will implement. But how it will be implemented? From where you will bring the money? The
Yeah,
GDP.
that is a very
That is the thing.
yes, serious aspects to be addressed.
You have given a nice table that that the Atmanirbhar Bharat, this money is, but this money is not for the education.
Yeah,
This money is allocated to the other ministries.
yeah, yeah. One thing,
And the money
another
which
thing is that.
so
Yeah,
if the government is going to do this like this, that the money allocated to the other ministries or other functionaries or the other funds, and you are showing it to the national education policy, then I doubt that we will be able to achieve the goal. That this is our duty, right duty, and the correct
yeah.
duty to apprise the government about the critics, because Dr. Kasturinder, no doubt that he has done a commendable job, and the policy is very good, certainly certainly good. Multiple entry and multiple exit, as you have pointed out, that it will be difficult for framing the curricula. It will be really difficult for the vice chancellors and the academic bodies and the societies to frame such a system or such a curriculum that the student, when he leaves after 1 year, and now suppose, because they have given the option that after 4, 5, 6 years he can come back, you are having the credit bank, and now after 5 years he comes back. So do you think that for 5 years the university will keep the same syllabi? No,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
syllabus need to be updated every year.
yeah.
So there are certain shortcomings. The skill oriented training. So the major focus of the entire NEP 2020 is on the primary and secondary education reduction. And that is wonderful. That is wonderful. The government is very clear. The policy is very clear. They are having the clear concept. So it seems that the government is mainly focusing on the literacy, and its main focus is on the primary education, and the secondary education and the higher education is neglected. They are having the concept of the NIRF, the National Research Foundation, but the National Research Foundation, the budget is too small.
Yeah,
Budget is
yeah.
too small.
You're right. Yeah.
You are having more than 1,000 universities, more than 45,000 colleges, and there is no provision for such type of the seed money. The young faculty, for example, the young faculty joins SIAD or Shobit University or some other university. The young faculty needs some seed money so that they can start the project, they can start up. So some of the things they are missing. So I congratulate the organizers for selecting such a nice topic, and I would like to request the organizers to sum up, to make the recommendations to the government, to make the recommendations at the end of the conference, which is the one of the wonderful conference, and the wonderful people like Muhammad Ali and Swami Achit Nandji and Dr. Chris. They have joined and they have pointed out the several things which are really very good, and they reflect the right thing on our national education policy. So I would now request the organizers. I have been told that now this is the time for the conclusion of this session. So I conclude this session with this, that yes, that the entire session has been beautifully organized, and the speakers have been very focused, and they have rightly pointed out the right things. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity for chairing this session, and I was thrilled to see the very nice lectures of all these speakers. So thank you very much. Thanks to the speakers.
I would like to say a few words.
Yeah.
First of all, I would like to give a special thanks to Professor Ali for his wonderful lecture on the various issues related to the entrepreneurship, skill development, education, and especially Atmanirbhar Bharat related to that. And also you too, because you have wonderfully explained the different lectures by our resource persons. So that's why one thing I would like to say something through this discussion, whatever you have done, Lynn, if we can plan, because whenever you have talked regarding, and Professor Ali was delivered lecture on the Atmanirbhar Bharat and education policy like that. So if we can organize an event, one kind of a roundtable or panel discussion time with the vice chancellors of different universities in the coming month, particularly on that national education policy. And it's a positive criticism, one kind of, and I will try to associate the Ministry of Education as from the any personnel from Ministry of Education as well as ICSSR and different government bodies, where there we can discuss about and we can sum up through our report here, we can sum up points which we can submit through a proper documentation and to the Minister of Education, that these are the webinar we have organized, and we are conducting this webinar on the national education policy related issue. So that's why I think how it will be, sir. I need your suggestions. Then I will definitely proceed.
Okay, you can go ahead.
And definitely I will be happy if your university, all the universities where the vice chancellors will join, they also associate with us by sharing their logo and also the name, as that we are the association that we have formed this webinar and we have organized this webinar, and we would like to submit our proposal to the government of India regarding this. So how it could be said.
Okay, thank you. Shall I leave now?
Sir, just a minute, it's a vote of thanks time. So I will request our executive Kadri Gupta to give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Bishwajit. Good afternoon, everyone. Today I am giving the vote of thanks on behalf of Team SIAD, and in this today's international virtual conference on paradigm shift on education, entrepreneurship in the context on Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is an event where you can see the mixture of education and entrepreneurship. Today's session was chaired by Professor Amar Garg, who is the Honorable VC of Shavit University, Meerut. He enlightened us by giving his speech, and keynote lecture was given by Swami Atma Priyananda. It was an excellent delivery, excellent lecture. It is based on the spiritual and philosophical values on education. Even in this era, how to design these values on education. It was so well explained. Another informative lecture was delivered by Professor Chris Stereopoulos. He is a co-founder and CEO of Global Opportunities Commercialization of Australia. His topic was Indian capacity building model to adopt and adapt education and entrepreneurship structure. His views on Indian economy and education policy. Another invited lecture was by Professor Muhammad Ali. Thank you, sir. Honorable VC of Alia University, Kolkata. He talked about paradigm shift on education, where he explained how the sphere of education has changed over time, and especially in this COVID influenced education. In this context, he also explained about the self-sufficiency, that is Atmanirbharata. Thank you, sir. And he's discussed about NEP 2020 and enriched our knowledge how India will reach to its goal to self-reliance. It is nicely explained by him. In short, from today's session, we have came across different thoughts and suggestions in this COVID-19 situation, how to overcome this crisis and how does education will help to fight back in this situation. Thank you all, the speakers, for such an informative and thought-provoking session. A big thanks to all the participants for your presence. Hope this conference will enrich your knowledge. Lastly, I want to thank all the members of Team SIAD, especially Bishwajit Roy Choudhury, for your initiative to conduct such a conference, which will be beneficial for all. Thank you all. Over to you, Bishwajit.
So tomorrow we will join, and I would request all the participants, please join before 10:30, because we have continuously told that please join, but sometimes it is not possible, we know, but please try it. We have to conduct these programs smoothly. So with this, once again, I would like to thank Professor Garg for your session chair and for giving your valuable time, sir. And thank you. Just say thank you.
Thanks to the organizers for giving me the opportunity to share the session. It was
Sir,
wonderful.
if possible, tomorrow please join.
Yeah,
If
okay,
it's possible for
I
you.
will try.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.